because I am drawing out the strength God has given me and the belief that I still have in Him, I believe that the enemy is attacking me. And so I have to stay the course. Um, I have to believe that everything happens for a reason. There's a time and season for everything.
What you are watching or listening to is the Resilience Project.
And it's funny, ironic, because all of this stuff has been coming toward me. I have, in the midst of everything that's been going on, I have had to dismiss friends from my life. And I will tell you something that I've learned, that when God is moving you to the next level and you're believing He's going to take you to the next level, that He will reveal to you who's going to be there with you and who's going to go with you. And He's been showing me people for who they are. People that I never thought would have turned their backs on me have turned their backs on me in some of the most volatile situations where I needed them. And I'm going to toot my horn because I've always been a loyal and faithful friend. I can be critical, I can be a butthole sometimes. But guess what? If I'm a friend until the end, okay? And I got your back. But I've learned that certain people don't have your back the way you have theirs. Certain friends don't go to the level that you go to, and that's okay because everybody's not expected to be the same. The funny thing is, I value friendship, but guess what? I'm okay in this season of my life because guess what? Friends mean nothing to me if you don't have my back the way I have yours. Okay. And there's no friend. And I've said this a lot in my recent intentional posts I've been putting on Facebook, probably for the last 3 or 4 weeks. There's no friend like Jesus. Okay. Mm-hmm. Tremaine Hawkins said it best.
And this is for all of y'all who are watching, who are out there. As you develop deeper levels of faith, you are going to recognize that your relationships are going to shift. And so yes, you just thank God for the shifting, and you thank God for the people that were in your life for that season because they were there for a reason. So
I'll say this. I am grateful for everybody that's been in my life for the time and season they've been in there because it was, for the most part, it was wonderful. I won't lie.
Okay.
But I have adopted this mindset now that, like you said, when God shifts you, and I know I haven't been a perfect friend. I'm an imperfect person. Yeah. I come with many flaws, but I've also learned that throughout the years that a lot of friends who cling to me or I cling to them. Sometimes our friends tend to put us on a pedestal. I was recently told that, we liked you, quote unquote, we liked you just the way you were. So I'm like, what way was I? It's be hurt when me and friends severed. That used to hurt me a lot. Even probably like 4 or 5 years ago. But I'm at the point now in my life, and this is how I know because I can sleep peacefully at night and still believe. I have adopted the mindset that I'm not losing y'all. Y'all lost me. That's the way I have to do. You know what I'm saying? And that may be different for anybody else, but I say I ain't losing you, you losing me. Because the thing is, sometimes some things are said to you, Penda, that people have thought or want to say to you for years, and this is what has been happening in all these situations, is that people have been saying stuff to me that I have been like, whoa, like really? Like, have you been thinking this all the time? Because some stuff don't just come off fly at the mouth. Yeah. Okay, some things are things that come that been said for a long time. Like I said, I still believe God who's who He said He is. I made a choice to decide to, join church, get baptized when I was 8 years old. And so I think that's when the real struggle started, that I didn't know that was going to be a struggle 30 years down the line. And so what happened was, I always had these fantasies growing up that, I would be married to a beautiful woman, 2 or 3 beautiful kids, a nice house. I'd be an attorney with a nice house, couple nice cars. And I believed it because, like, my mother raised me in the church. I believe the Bible, and I believe what the Bible says about, man and woman coming together, what I'm saying, having a life together, building a life together. That everyone, even the cliche statement that people say that there's someone for everyone. And I do believe that. Okay. By the time I got to my mid 20s, my college girlfriend and I actually officially split up because we were off and on. And so that broke my heart. And I went through a depression for about 2 years. But she and I were still talking, which shouldn't have been happening. And she ended up, getting with another guy actually behind my back. Um, and I didn't know until I came to visit her because she was a long distance. She was in Cleveland, 3 hours away. And I came to see her every other weekend. I broke my neck whether I had a job or not, whether I had money or not. I came to see her. And when I saw the letters and the wine in her bedroom, I said, "Where is this from?" When I And so she decided to tell me, and I'm like, "Oh, really?" And so some guy she had met in the elevator that was actually on the elevator with us, and then he still approached her after knowing we were together. So that kind of got to me. And so anyway, we went on. She was still trying to have her cake and eat it too. She was trying to hang on to me and be with him. But of course, he had the money. He was established. He was 20 years or almost 20 years older. Bank person. Member of a major fraternity. He did all these glamorous things that she liked and that her mom talked to her about. Her mom felt like I wasn't good enough for her because I wasn't established. Mind you, I want to tell her, first of all, both of us in college. You know what I'm saying? She's a year behind me. She's going to establish herself, and I'm getting ready to establish myself. So guess what? Why? Well, she valued her mom's opinion, like
Yeah.
a lot of girls do, like a lot of women do, and I understand that. But I never gave her mom any reason. Now her brother was cool with me. Her sister loved me, and it was just like wow. After we broke up, I went through depression. That's when I first about depression, but I didn't realize it was depression. And
Oh,
so I was down from 1997 to 99. And when I recognized the day she was getting married, she was my best friend's cousin, okay,
uh,
from Wilberforce. And when he called me the day of her wedding, he was like, and they called me Rigger. Um,
yeah.
and Dana was like, Rigger. He was like, "You all right, man?" I was like, "Man, I'm laying on the couch. I said, I'm really depressed. I had just taken a bath and everything. I had my own apartment." And I was like, I'm all right, man. I said, "What's going on?" He was at the wedding. He was down in the basement, and he said that she was in tears and she was looking really sad. So I said, "Well, she made a decision, but I don't know what God did in that moment to snap me out of it." And I'm not saying I was gloating about her being sad because I wasn't. I
Yeah.
genuinely wished her the best. And so I figured it wasn't meant to be, but I had cried so many nights. I've been depressed so much on the different weekends that I normally go see her. And like I didn't even, though I didn't really celebrate Valentine's Day, but like Christmas, birthdays that I spent with her, but I took the blame for a lot of these relationships with these women, the dating ships that I'd had with women and
Yeah.
girls. I took a lot of the blame. I put it on my shoulder. I was always to blame. Antonio's to blame. Guess I'm gonna take the blame. I've done something wrong, and I'm not like that anymore. But let me do something. I was like, hmm. I had dreams all through college because I was around it about being with men sexually. Okay, being with men sexually and fantasizing or whatever. Guess what? No strings attached. What would it be like just to be in the bed with a man, et cetera, et cetera? And so in 2000 and I want to say 2002, later 2002, 2003, I decided to test the waters. And so I got on the website, Black Planet. I got on these sites and I started meeting these guys, really attractive. They were attracted to me, and we were just conversing. A lot of them, we would have good conversations, just like I would with women.
And you
And I
still
just
believed in God during this time.
I still believed in God this whole time because all I knew because the Bible, I knew what the Bible said about homosexuality. I knew what the Bible said in the book of Romans about homosexuality, about Sodom and Gomorrah, all the stuff in the Bible where I was raised. I believed it because in my mind, I still had an attraction to women. Okay. In
Okay.
my soul, I still had an attraction to women. So I still believe that eventually I could get married, still have kids, or I could just play around for a little bit. I could dip and dab. And
Oh,
so I decided to, I'm trying to think when the first experience was. I met a guy in Atlanta. That didn't work out, but he said something to me. And maybe I'll divulge that later. But he said to me, he said, I'll say this real quick. He said, "Everything is not for everyone, Antonio." He said, "You seem like a real sweet guy. All my female friends that you met love you." And they like, "Him? Not him." Man, we know you, but that's a man right there. He
yeah.
don't like men, so we laughed about that and we stayed friends for years until I had my first breakdown. That's when we lost touch. Okay.
Wow.
But
So
anyway, mhm,
what I want to ask you, Tone, is
mhm,
we talk with your declaration being, I still believe. So
mhm,
you made a choice to do something that you believed was wrong, but you
mhm.
still believe God. How does that
Yes.
work?
Woo. It's an internal battle, an internal conflict. because the flesh want to do what they want to do, but your heart and your soul is telling you what's the right thing to do. It is when I say it's just people have told me. When I tell you it's a battle, it's an internal battle with the flesh and the spirit, as well as the what do I want to say? It's a word. It's something I'm trying to say. It'll come back to me.
Yeah,
But a spiritual warfare,
it is
if you will.
spiritual warfare.
Okay. And so the devil, I had tested the waters, and so more and more it became attractive and appealing to me. So the more I wanted it, you know what I'm saying? And it's funny because my first experience was really horrible. And I was like, I would never do it again. You know, I was like, I'm not doing that no more. Everything that I fantasized about sexually was not what I wanted to do. It was horrible. So I left it alone. I left it alone for a while. I
But
was
the
like, oh,
seed was there, huh?
huh?
But the seed was there.
The seed was already planted. So when the devil knows something's in the air, he's going to keep throwing it at you. You know, and
So,
it's going to be your choice. You have a choice. It's going to be whether or not you accept it or not. And I still believe, like you said, I still believe in God. I still believe that God, guess what, will keep me covered and protected, but also still knowing what the Bible said. And I never refuted what the Bible said about homosexuality, okay? And lust of the flesh and all of this stuff. You
yeah,
know, I can't repeat those scriptures to you right now, but I'm sure I can find them. Okay, because I had a lot of markers in my old Bibles with them.
yeah.
So I didn't. I still believe. I still believe that if I got too deep in, he could rescue me from him. But not thinking that. Guess what? And I should have known better. But I know this now. That God, for every action that you take, there's a consequence that goes against him. Okay. Every action you take against him, against that word, there's a consequence for it. And trust me, you, Antonio, Tony Tone, Rigger, whoever, has faced a lot of those consequences.
Yeah.
And my life has been attacked, not just, it's two things, okay? Um, Professionally and personally. Professionally, because guess what? I do a job that I've always wanted to do, helping folks. But I was going to be an attorney, but I actually been a union rep, which makes me an attorney for working class people. Then I always want to be married, have kids, have this big family. I'm good with kids. I'm a kid magnet. And a lot of women are still attracted to me right now. I'm attracted to them as well. But the whole thing about it is, guess what? The seed had already been planted for the lust of the lifestyle of homosexuality. But I will tell you this, I would never knock a person who's in that lifestyle, people who are in that lifestyle, because I've been there. I still struggle with it to this day. Okay. But I still believe that God, in some way, shape, or form, can deliver you from it. Because I've heard miraculous stories. I've seen them about people being delivered from this. I'll be honest with you, right now, I have no desire to be married. Um, I still kind of want kids, but when I get into those thoughts, I actually go into tears because I wonder sometimes what what did I do wrong?
So,
What did I do wrong? To not have those things.
yeah.
And I've had it thrown in my face. I remember a guy that I was involved with for 8 years told me, "Oh, you will never have the beautiful things I have. Two beautiful kids, a son and a daughter." He told me that to my face, and
Wow.
I'll never. That was one of the most hurtful things I could have ever heard from. And there was a guy here in Texas, so it was. I sometimes that plays back in my head, but guess what? I still believe because God has delivered me through all of this stuff. I have been in only a relationship with two men. Okay, two men. One that was in Philly that I truly loved. Okay, I loved him the way I love women. Okay, and we were bonded and connected like that. That's why I said be very careful about what you. I will say this: be very careful about what you jump into, and believe the grass is greener on the other side. And believe that. Guess what? You can't you can't love the same sex because when the mind gets a hold of that, you can. And I did. I'd be lying if I said I didn't love him. Second person, no, I did not love him. I loved him. I'll put it this way: I loved him, but I wasn't in love with him the way I was the first person. And that relationship was extremely abusive to the point it almost cost me my life. And I'm
Steve,
still here,
you
and I'm still going forward. So yeah,
think it's such a poignant thing. Like, even though you were going through these storms and experiencing these things, that you
yes,
still kept your faith in God.
yes, exactly. And my faith is what's got me to where I am now. So let me tell you something. When God has chosen you and when you are truly His, I'm gonna hold up my healing necklace somebody made for me, Miss Aisha. And I believe in things like this that bring positive energy. But when God has selected you and have chosen you, and you are truly His, I believe honestly, no matter what you do, no matter what road you go on, He's gonna find a way to snatch you back. I'm serious, snatch you back, okay? Because I have hit rock bottom to where I lost my mind. The first time was like, oh, like I didn't know what was happening. It happened so fast. My life was so good. I was in love with a man, and everything was going well for me. My job, everything, and then all of a sudden the bottom just fell from under me. And as soon as I threw my hands up and said, "Lord, I can't do this no more," um, and my auntie said I fell out and cried and so forth out to him. God had already planned to bring me out of that first situation. Even though it was 2 years, almost 2.5 years, he brought me out of that situation. So when I came out, I was happy go lucky. And I believe, because guess what? Who else could have done that? Who else could have changed my mind back to where I was focused and
Yeah.
back living and back on track the way I was and moving the way I was? Everything was happening. Nothing. From that point on in my life, Pender, I planned. Not moving to Texas, not the type of job I had, not the house I lived in, not the cars I drove, not the shopping that I love to do. None of that was planned. It just happened and it just flowed. So everything is going good for me. And then what, in 2009? Guess what? The enemy pops up again with a snake. And so what happened was I didn't think that after that first breakdown, people could have another mental breakdown. Okay. And so in 2016, after, like I said, after being in an abusive relationship for 8 years, I get to a situation where I moved to Louisiana and my life is starting all over again because I've asked God to pull me out of this abusive relationship, give me a new job because I've been laid off a job twice due to
Yeah.
funding cuts. And I couldn't stay, I didn't want to be in Texas anymore. I didn't want to be in Houston anymore. And so I left and I went to Baton Rouge and everything was going good the way I needed it to go. Not the way I necessarily wanted, but the way I needed it to go. So I believed. Guess what? He opened the doors for me. After multiple nights of crying over losing a job, finances, but because of what I've been through before, I was able to more navigate. This time, I'm doing well. 2018 comes around, boom, another breakdown. I mean, after 2 years of being in Louisiana, everything is going good. So good to the point in my professional life, I get a job promotion after a year of just being there. Okay, I'm giving you hope. I'm going to give you hope. Okay.
Give us hope.
So like I said, I went down the drain and there was my job and my personal life. And I was so far down to the point where I was like, I gave up. I
Yeah.
had totally told God to take my life. I can't do this anymore. But this time I had to fight harder. And my brothers told me, they said, did you ever realize that God may be relying on you to pour from the strength you did back in 2005 when you had your breakdown, how you healed in 2007? He's relying on you to do some things this time around. I can't stay in Saginaw. And I told my mother and my sister, I said, Mama Keisha, if I stay here, I'm going to die. So I felt like that in 2005 when I had to go back to Saginaw in 2006 after having that breakdown. But I really felt like it this time. But I stayed in the room, balled up. So I got up and it'd be like twice a week or whatever stuff, or maybe 3 times a week. I would get up while still going to counseling, taking this crazy medication that I was taking um, to control the psychoticness. I was getting on my mother's computer in the back room that I slept in, that I grew up in, and
Yeah.
I was typing, putting in resumes and stuff, started going through interviews in September. So my mother had just written a book, which included part of the story of my life, and I had my first interview at her book signing. I was actually the candidate he wanted. But the board decided, oh, we want to open it up for another few candidates to apply. So this lingered all the way through probably December of 2019, maybe January 2020, after I had already gotten the job. So I interviewed for several more jobs, Virginia, Texas, Alabama. Knowing I was a bomb candidate, I had to, and how I made it through these interviews, I don't know. But I was my normal self for each interview. That's the funny thing. And guess what? Still having psychotic spells every night, every morning, beating on the wall, like pulling out my hair. I had these dreads in my hair. I was pulling my hair. I was just like, but I was just thinking like I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. That's all I kept thinking. But eventually, my brother came to get me. I had to come re-register my car. Andrew came up to Michigan to get me. I came back down here with him and his wife, Rakisha, who are actually taking me in when I got sick in 2018 and came to Louisiana and got me. And so I came back here and I ended up having to go to the hotel because they were in the adoption process. Come home, go to the hotel, and go to sleep. So that's what I did. On the weekends, I would lock myself in a room. I would barely come out, other than if I wanted to wash my car or something like that, because I kind of found some peace in that. I still wouldn't really listen to music. I watched the news all day. You know what I'm saying? Or you would watch me. And I used to watch. I got into watching Law and Order SVU again. This time I'm crashing and don't even know I'm crashing. Eventually, I got on down the line. Work started picking up. We went into shutdown mode. The pandemic hit. And so I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have a worse breakdown. I'm trying to come out of this. I'm going to have a worse breakdown. But I'm navigating things again. I can't see it really. And it wasn't until when George Floyd got killed, I was back at the house. My brother brought me back to the house. They didn't want me to be alone because they were upset with me about not answering my phone, isolate myself. And so they brought me back to the house, which was good for me. My nephew, Cam, who y'all know I love to death, was trying to play with me and stuff. I would push him away because I didn't want to be bothered with him.
Yeah.
And I don't think I wanted him to see me the way I was. It's funny, all my nieces and nephews I'm close to, they gave me hope. Everybody from Aiden and Jaquan and Autumn, everybody in Kentucky with my brother Anson and his wife Roz. I had a birthday celebration with them, Houston. And so that may have been the start of everything. I don't know. But anyway, I get down. And so I decided to go to the hotel Mother's Day weekend. That was around the time, right after that weekend, and I came back to the house. Then I left the weekend George Floyd got killed. The week George Floyd got killed, and I stayed in the hotel, and then my sister-in-law lost her father. They left. And so at that point in time, I was in this house that I'm in right now by myself for a month and a half. And at that time, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I haven't been by myself for 2 years, over 2 years. God began to work on me. I know he had to because I was kind of fearful of being here. But I came, I was cleaning and stuff, and I was, washing cars, doing everything I can to keep myself motivated. So I knew I wasn't doing it on my own strength. I still believe because guess what? If I didn't believe, how could I keep doing that stuff? How can I stay physically moving? For a week before they got ready to come back, both my brothers called me. And my brother Andrew, who is a minister, had a conversation with me about I had told him I want to go to Baton Rouge and see about getting my hair done. I need to, and plus there was a manager over there who was looking to bring me back to my old job. And I was like, I need to go over there, but I want you to go with me. But he couldn't go because. And so when he came back, he talked to me. He said, I need for you to stop shortchanging yourself and draw off your strength of encouragement. And I started crying on the phone. He said, you can do this. You can get up, get in your car, drive over there and do what you need to do. Handle your business. Go to your storage. I'm going to give you a key. He said, and you're going to be all right. So they came back on the first or the second of, no, the first, I want to say the 30th or the 1st of June or the 1st of July. And so came in, and it's funny, when I saw Cam, maybe like the next day after they woke up, he had gone to take care. He came in the door, he ran up to me and he hugged me, and things started changing. I took him to the park. And this is how I know that I still believe God has my back, no matter what. I drove. I made sure my car was in good condition. My 2016 Nissan, I still drive. And I got on the road, had the sunroof open. I didn't cut any music on. I just drove for 2 hours to Lake Charles. Once I hit Lake Charles, I looked in the rearview mirror. I cut on my music, started bouncing, said, "Hey, what's wrong with you?" The guy said, "I told you I got you. You're gonna be okay."